Speaking, the Boston Celtics lost one Sunday. Reggie Lewis is out of the playoffs after a panel of doctors found, quote, cardiac abnormalities that contributed to his fainting during the playoff opener on Thursday. But he quickly came to, and doctors say it will be several weeks before they know how serious Lewis's heart problem is and whether or not it threatens his career or his life.
We wish the best for Reggie, but, we don't need to, use that as a springboard to the game on Monday.
It puts basketball in its place. It really clarifies that this just is a game. And our first and foremost thoughts are with Reggie and Donna and their baby. And we don't care about Reggie, the basketball player, right now. We want Reggie to get well.
The Celtics without captain Reggie Lewis and the Hornets play Game 3 Monday night in Charlotte. The series is tied 1-1. Dan?
And when he went out and found Gilbert Mudge and this, I thought I didn't like Dave Gavitt embracing this because they knew what the Dream Team had told them. And I thought this was litigious, and now they're out from under it and they can blame the doctor, and they welcomed him back to basketball. And I didn't like it at the time. And then when Reggie dropped dead, I just went off. I wrote a very angry column that ran on page 1. And
NBA History Channel is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
I think just not seeing how the wonderfulness and, those 80s Celtics and, being a little too harsh. And it's funny, Bob referenced Reggie Lewis because, July 27th, 1993, when Reggie dropped dead at Brandeis, there had been a lot leading up to that, as we all know. And I was adamant about the Dream Team and sticking with what they knew. And when he went out and found Gilbert Mudge and this, I thought I didn't like Dave Gavitt embracing this because they knew what the Dream Team had told them. And I thought this was litigious, and now they're out from under it and they can blame the doctor, and they welcomed him back to basketball. And I didn't like it at the time. And then when Reggie dropped dead, I just went off. I wrote a very angry column that ran on page 1, and it was just too soon. It's like I've always compared it to when the young divorcee leaves her kids at home and goes out on a date and the house burns down. That's not the day to write it's her fault that the children are dead. It's too soon, even though it's true. But in this case, I was really harsh toward Gavitt and the Celtics for allowing him to think he was coming back. And just leading up to that, I just thought it was unnecessary death and it was horrible. And I thought the litigiousness got in the way of that.
That was a tough one. I mean, for everybody, because I think
it wasn't a good day. It was not one good day ever in that story. From the moment he dropped in the Charlotte game, right up to the funeral, everything was bad.
It was
that night, Dan, the game starts. I'm sitting behind the basket then, and the game starts. And in the first period, he was running around like a crazy man, and that's usually not what he does. You remember, he was just smooth and effortless and glide. He was a glider. He wasn't a frenetic player. He was out of sorts in that first period. Okay, so finally it happens that the ball goes up, and there's a rebound, and the 9 guys are riding to the other end of the court, and who's sitting about 10 feet in front of me on the floor with a look on his face that says, "What is happening to me?" And that was Reggie Lewis, and that's how it happened. I'll never forget that.
Hit the rim, and then the miss, and Parrish has the rebound. Good defense at time. All of a sudden, hitting the deck is Reggie Lewis. Is he all right? Inside to Parrish.
He's down right now.
Yeah, he's hurt.
They're going to have to give him
Reggie Lewis has had all kinds of problems with his legs, but they were saying they thought he was the healthiest he had been in some time.
We'll have to see what he injured. I saw him go down. I don't know if he got a knee. But we'll have to check on that after we come back from the timeout.
Bob's right. Pre-game, it was Charlotte, right?
Yes.
And they had Wingate, and they had 2 of the high school, the Dunbar boys,
Bugsy.
Yes. So I remember going to both rooms to talk to these guys who had played together in high school. It was interesting. He had 3 teammates all in the playoffs. Fast forward, 3 high school teammates. What are the odds of that? And I remember Reggie was I had never seen him more amped up. He was bouncing on his heels. I mean, you'd say Red Bull or something, but whatever. Wasn't natural. And go look at the video. there's balls where he'll fire up from the right corner, he'll rebound the left corner. I mean, he was a pinball out there. It was very unusual.
Yeah. So,
I know for me, Dan, I got in this business because, Bob knows I also love acting, and I got in this business to be on TV or radio and talk about sports. I was not going to be a coach. I was going to do something in the electronic media. You guys got in this business to cover sports. And one of the things, I thought I was going to try to be the next Bob Lobel, where I just read highlights and everybody's happy and you say something snappy to Liz Walker and everybody loves you and you go home. I never adjusted to the part of the job of covering something like Reggie Lewis, or where sports radio has really gone over the top in being critical. But in that situation, Dan, talk about how you didn't get in the business to cover stories like that.
Game Time is just a terrific app. And if you're looking for tickets, the Game Time app is a great way to get Celtics tickets. Also, not just Celtic tickets, but also for concerts and shows as well. Plus, they have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It'll filter out all the fluff, and it'll give you incredible deals on great seats right away. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets and thousands of websites. And then don't forget, they have the super deal with the Game Time app. The super deal is the best deal on the board at that particular time, so you can always make sure you're on the lookout for that. So download the Game Time app today, create an account, use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Why, it's game time. CLNS History is powered by Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.
Well, and a lot of it we're ill-equipped for it. But for me, labor was always the worst for that. I walked in to cover the Orioles, and then there's the baseball strike of '81 and all this stuff with Marvin Miller and Donald Fear and Ken Moffitt and, NLRB, and you're out of your depth. You don't ask the food writers to cover Vietnam War,
right.
and so I didn't like contracts. I still don't know what the second apron is. I don't want to know. No, I did not get into this for money, labor, crime, death. Right. Those things. So yeah, we're out of our depth in a lot of that stuff. No question.
So I totally and 100% agree. We're the same person in that regard.
NBA History Channel is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.